welcome to my views on news. Viewers, we have received detailed information about Afar front east of Mekelle. We know that Ethiopian Federal Regional Forces, supported by Eritreans, they have launched an offensive towards Tigray from Afar side. Question is, from which direction are they trying to move towards Mekelle, Tigray's capital, towards A2 highway? Have these forces made any gains? Are they trying to move from Bala or from Berhale? What type of terrain is here in the areas where fighting is ongoing? And can these forces from afar reach Mekelle or reach A2 highway? Firstly, let me show you Abala, viewers. These forces from afar can move towards Tigray either from Abala or from Berhale. If they want to move from afar towards Tigray, they have two routes available: Abala and Berhale. I'm talking about zone 2 viewers. This is zone 2 of Afar region. Of course, they can move from zone 4 as well. But mainly now what we have learned is that from zone 2, this offensive is being launched. And we know that Eritreans also entered Berhale. So mainly this offensive towards Tigray is from zone 2 of Afar region. Uh, Abala viewers, can Ethiopian Federal Forces, Afar Regional Force, Eritrean Forces, can they move towards Mekelle from Abala? Can they move towards A2 highway from Abala? Have they made any gains? Let me show you Abala first on this map. You can see Abala. This is Abala town of Afar on Tigray Afar border. To the west of Abala, you can see these mountains. So area to the west of Abala is mountainous. You can see a road here. This is zigzag road which goes up the mountains, and this road which you can see here then goes on to touch A2 highway. But the road moves along these mountains which you can clearly see here. It means that if someone is in control of these mountains to the west of Abala, which stretch for several kilometers, if someone is in control of these mountains, it is difficult from Abala to climb these mountains. So far, Tigray forces are on top of these mountains. So ENDF, Eritreans, Afars, it's difficult for them to climb these mountains from Abala. That is why what we have learned is that no considerable advance towards Tigray from Abala has been seen so far. Tigray forces can be removed from these mountains through a ground offensive, difficult one from Abala, or through drone strikes, air strikes as well. But reportedly from this front, ENDF and regional forces are not trying to move towards Mekelle, towards A2 highway, because it's a difficult front for them. Tigray forces in control of areas to the west of Abala, areas like Milazat, not shown on this map, where some drone strikes were conducted last year as well, and Arafah. These high places, Milazat, Arafah, are to the west of Abala, in control, Tigray forces in control of these places. That is why no advance from Abala towards Tigray is expected. It hasn't been seen so far. Major offensive towards Tigray from afar is coming from Berhale side. You can see Berhale here. Here, this is Berhale. Fighting is ongoing here. This green patch shows a mountain which is called Mount Asta. It is on Tegarae Afar border. It is Berhale viewers. It's part of Berhale Vareda. And uh, you can see here, this is Afar Tegarae border. Mount Asta, it's a large mountain you can see here with green vegetation. And it's a very strategic mountain. If someone is in control of this place, Mount Asta, those who are in control of this place, they can easily move towards these areas to the west of the mountain, then ultimately towards Vakro, Agula, and then you can see Mekelle as well here. So it means that this mountain with green vegetation is very strategic, right on Afar Tegarai border. Who is in control of this mountain? Strategic mountain. Heavy fighting is ongoing from eastern side, from Berhale side. You can see Berhale. From Berhale side, Eritrean forces, Afar forces, ENDF, they have managed to reach the top of this mountain reportedly. And now fighting is being reported to the west of this mountain and to the south of this mountain. You can see Dacia here. Dacia is part of Tigray. You can see Lugdo here, again part of Tigray. From Mount Asta, reportedly ENDF, Afar forces, Eritreans as well, because they were seen in Berhale a few days ago. They have managed to reach Dacia reportedly. Now fighting is ongoing in this area, Daci. And some claim that Lugdo has come under the control of ENDF. But it requires some confirmation, because if TDF loses Lugdo and Dacia, then to the west advance for ENDF will be easy. So main places are Lugdo and Dacia, which are on Tigray side of this mountain. Most sources say that ENDF Afar forces, they have taken control of Mount Asta, and now they are fighting to consolidate their control of Dacia and Lugdo. If these places, Dacia, Lugdo, and we have a third one as well, name of this third place is Kora. Let me show you Kora here on this map, which is also very strategic. If these places come under the control of ENDF and Afar forces, it could be a huge blow for Tigray forces. I can't find it on this map, Kora, but it is very close to Lugdo. So fighting is now basically on Tigray side of Tigray Afar border. Somehow ENDF and Afar forces, they have managed to take control of this mountain, and now they're trying to move in western direction towards Vakro. You can see Vakro here. You can see, this is the place I was talking about, Karar, close to Vakro. Obviously, so far ENDF Afar forces are not close to Karar. They are somewhere here near Dacia and Lugdo. But they are trying to move from these areas in western direction. You can see this is all mountainous terrain here, but there is a main road from this mountain leading to Vakro. If they reach Vakro, it means they have reached A2 highway, and from Vakro they can easily move towards Mekelle and they can cut off A2 highway. So you see that on Abala front they could not make any gains, but on Berhale front, on Mount Asta front, ENDF, perhaps EDF, and Afar fighters, they have managed to take control of this mountain. But heavy fighting is ongoing. It's not that in calming hours we're going to see ENDF, Afar forces reach A2 highway or Mekelle. But if they start advancing rapidly from these places, Dacia and Lugdo, we could see swift advance towards A2 highway. So far, heavy fighting ongoing close to Mount Asta, this green patch, which is basically a large mountain. Thank you for watching.